Okay, Kamari, Leslie, here's another video for you. This is just what we're talking about in math. I noticed we've been having some problems in math with our word problems, trying to choose the correct operations. Like people are multiplying when they should divide, or they're subtracting when they should add. You know, they're choosing to do the wrong thing. So I just wanted to talk about that. And let's talk about finding clues that tell us when to do which operation. So let's take a look here. I just put up each of the 4 operations and then reasons for each one. So like reasons to add. So for example, a reason to add would be if you're combining amounts, all right? Like if you say, Bob has 22 oranges and Larry has 24 oranges, and all they have, you know, and then 46 oranges, you add them together, right? That's combining, putting things together. And then also for adding or to find a total, that's another reason to add. Like let's say Bob has 28 of something, Larry has 36 of something, and Slappy has 42 of something. Like let's say they each have 28 cookies, 36 cookies, 42 cookies. And you want to know what's the total number of cookies. Well, then that means you would add all of those together. Finding a total is a reason to add, all right? And then also, this is going to sound kind of dumb, but if I just say adding on, or you might call it counting on. What do I mean by that? I mean, let's say you have an amount. Let's say Bob has 28 cards, like, I don't know, Pokemon cards. He is given 16 more cards. How many does he have now? So you had an amount that you started with, and then you added on an amount, all right? So you had 28 to start with, and then you take an amount that you have counted on from there, added on to that, all right? So that's another reason to add, just adding on something, all right? So those are reasons to add. Reasons to subtract. Well, the obvious one is taking away, right? Let's just keep talking about Bob. Bob had 20 cookies. He ate 6 cookies. How many does he have left? Right? Bob had 28 cookies. He ate 6. How many does he have left? Well, when you eat food, it goes away, right? It becomes less. You're like taking it away. So you had this many, and then this many, that amount was taken away. So 20 minus 6, right? Because you're taking 6 away from the total that you had. So that would leave 14, right? Just simple taking away. Then, another reason to subtract is comparison. And you know you're comparing when you hear these key words, this key phrase. How much more than? Or how many fewer? Or how many more than? If you're asking how much more is one number than another, like if you ask how much more is 28 than 16. You want to know how much more is 28 than 16? Well, take the larger number and take away the smaller number, and you're going to find the difference. That's the comparison. It's 28 is 12 more than 16. That's another reason to subtract, finding out how much more one number is than another. And there's another way to look at that too. You could say how much less is a number? Like, how much less is 26 than 51? If you're asking how much less, that's also a comparison. You could still subtract 51 minus 26. That's 25. I know I'm going a little fast with this, but like I said, stop, pause, rewind anytime you want to, okay? I'm going a little fast, but stop and pause and rewind anytime you want to. So that's another reason to subtract, a comparison, finding how much more one number is in a number, or how much less one number is in another. And then another reason to subtract is finding a missing part. Finding a missing part. Let me give an example of that. Let's say, if we say this, Bob has 68 comic books. 32 of them are DC comics. The rest are Marvel comics. How many Marvel comics does Bob have? How many Marvel comics does Bob have? So if you look, we know the total. He's got 68 total comic books. We know what part of it is, 32 of them. But we don't know the other part. The other part is Marvel. Part of his comic books are DC comics. The other part are Marvel comics. We know how many DC he has in the total, but we don't know how many Marvel. So basically, if you think about it like this, if you took the DC comics and added them with the Marvel comics, whatever that is, you would have 68 comics. So you're finding this missing part here. So the way to find a missing part, take the total and subtract the part that you already have. And then you'll find the missing part. I always put it like this. If I walk into my classroom and I have a really big group of kids and someone says, okay, we need to know how many girls are in your classroom. All right, well, instead of counting all of them out, one easy thing I could do is say, okay, boys, if you could stand up and move to the edge of the room and let's see what's left, and then just count what's left over. That's the same idea here, right? So reasons to subtract, taking away, comparison, and finding a missing part. All right. And I'm also kind of rushing because I told my kids, I told the class we'd be back in like 15 minutes. So I'm trying to get done in time. All right, rehydrate. Reasons to multiply. Well, there's the obvious one. Putting together equal groups. Putting together equal groups. Bob, Larry, and Skip each have 12, I don't know, we'll say 12 video games. How many total video games do they have? Right? Well, you see that word total, we're finding a total. Let's say you add to find a total. Well, that means they each got 12, so you could do 12 plus 12 plus 12, right? But we are putting together equal groups, right? So let's just make it 12 times 3. We have 3 groups of 12. We have equal groups that we can put together. And then we also have multiplicative comparison. This is what we've been talking about for like 2 weeks, where it's that, you know, okay, let's get different names going. Lucy. Lucy has 12 books. Her brother Linus has 4 times as many books. You know you're making a multiplicative comparison when you got that times as many. 4 times as many. 4 times as many, 4 times more, 4 times as much. That's a multiplicative comparison, right? So if you want to find 4 times as much as 12, well, 12 times 4. If you want to find 4 times as much as anything, you'd multiply it by 4, right? Well, that's 48. So that's multiplicative comparison, which we've been talking about for a long time. Then division. Division, of course, splitting a total into equal groups. That's one reason. So like we say, you know, there are 20 books. I put them equally into 4 boxes. How many are in each box? Right? I have 20. I have a total of 20. I put them equal into 4 boxes. Well, that means 4 equal groups, right? So I'm putting that into 4 equal groups. 20 divided by 4 is 5. There's 5 in each box. So anytime you're taking a total and splitting it up somehow into 4 equal groups, that's division. Now, division, pay attention to this. You also use division for multiplicative comparison. You might say, oh, Mr. Jens, you said you do that in multiplication. Do you also do it in division? It depends on the wording, all right? So watch, here's a multiplicative comparison. Let's think. If I'm doing it this way, 4 times as much as 6 is what? Well, if I want to find 4 times as much as 6, that's 4 times 6, right? We know that 4 times 6 is 24. So if you want to find 4 times as much as 6, it's 24. And also, I mean, that's for any number. 3 times as much as 6. Well, then it'd be 3 times 6. If it was 8 times as much as 6, then it'd be 8 times 6, right? But then it might be written differently, like this. Let's say we start with the larger number, like 45 is 5 times more than, you're trying to find that number. Notice how it's worded differently. It's not 40 times more than 5, 45 more times than 5. It's not that. It's 45 is 5 times more than. That means if you want to find 5 times more than a number, you multiply it by 5, right? So whatever this number is, when you multiply it by 5, you get 45. So you got this missing number. When you're going to find that missing number, you got to divide by 5. So you see the difference here, all right? So these are both multiplicative comparison, but one of them you need to do multiplication. The other one you need to do division, all right? Now I know I said I went through this really fast, and I did. You need to pause it. You need to go back, look at it again, okay? Watch it as many times as you need, okay? Because I know I did it somewhat quickly. I did it quickly with the plan that you do go back and rewatch it, okay? There is a assignment in Seesaw for you to do where you have 4 word problems and you have to choose. Do you add, do you subtract, do you multiply, do you divide? Okay? So there is an assignment for that to do. So after you watch this video, you probably want to go do that, all right? Okay, good.